Testing, testing, testing. Sweet. If you didn't catch it in the MLTP content channel, if you want to call in with a take, you can join that Discord. Just posted the link in the Twitch chat. Join the Nightcap waiting room voice channel, and I'll drag you in, and we can discuss your take on stream. We'll give it a minute or two to get started here. Hope everyone's having a good Memorial Day weekend. I know I am. Looking forward to the minors draft tomorrow to cap it all off. Do we think Balls to You showed up at all? Well, hold on. Before we get into that, let me try to upload a thingamabobber. As I figure, if we're going to talk majors rosters, we should probably actually show the rosters, right? Even if it's slightly outdated. Alright, let's go ahead and bring it up here. Let's go ahead and bring me up here. There I am. Not looking too bad today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alright, and let's get majors rosters up here to start. If I can remember which, hold on, I gotta remember which image it was. There you go. Now, these are slightly outdated because PK announced some drops today. The drops he announced today: Balls to You dropped for Selfie. Name 333 was dropped for someone. Pits Up Titan, that's right, for Name 333. And then Portland pits up Name for Ballsack 123. So roster is not quite up to date yet. I will say, I think the moves today, Flaccid mentioned it in chat. I don't know that Balls to You ever showed up to a scrim before they dropped him. My guess is he didn't, and that's probably why they made the move. I did some EU stalking. Looks like Selfie filled in for Rena and company the other day and had some pretty good scrims against Weed the People. So he gets the call up there. We'll see about the Titan thing. I'll tell you, I'm gonna be really pissed if we went through this whole song and dance about how he can't ping abuse anymore, and then he finds his way onto a majors roster, and turns out to be the same old Titan. You know, that would piss me off a little bit. If he's not able to ping abuse, and that, you know, if he's not as good as he's been in his Mooper winning seasons, then him for name 333, I don't know, seems like a wash. I would think name is probably an upgrade on Ballsack, but I don't really know enough about Ballsack to say for sure. So really, I think Selfie probably the biggest upgrade there, and it's solely because he shows up. Yeah, okay, so Nameless, thank you for confirming. And that's, you know, it's unfortunate, but I was looking, I can't remember what map you guys were on. I was looking at an EU viewers. Selfie had like a 4-cap game, you know, I can understand. It seemed like he was doing pretty well across all your scrims, so I can understand giving him the spot for sure. But let's start here. So, you know, those roster changes aside, my initial impression was that it really seems like, and I think the scrim EUs kind of bear this out, it really seems like this major season is going to be like super even. I think the one potential standout team is probably TSM. Like name, like roster wise, and then just what I've been able to, you know, find by scrimming other teams and what I've been able to find on EUs, seems like every other team is relatively evenly matched. And then maybe TSM just a little bit of a step over the rest of the league. But that's what initially jumped out at me, was how even it seemed. Nameless says in chat, thinks it's going to come down to who puts in the most amount of time. I think that's probably fair. You know, it's been taught ad nauseum in majors discussions, certainly a lower skill major season. A lot of people going majors who normally would not, obviously myself included. This is my first major season since season 19. So it's been a while. Yeah, but a lot of new names. Casley, myself. It's, you know, some people who've gotten some majors minutes in the past, but more of a more major role this season. Kelvin Flaccid, 2P, Taylor. Yeah, so really interesting season. And I'd be curious, you guys in the chat, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on if you think there's a team that's going to be either like head and shoulders above the rest, or you know, toes and feet below the rest, if that's what you say that. Because to me, there's not one team that seems like obviously horrible. Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems really even, which is good. I like that. And supposedly we're gonna get, or at least rumor has it, we're gonna get 8 out of 10 teams in playoffs. So the playoffs should, you know, be as hotly contested as I think the regular season is gonna be. Weed the People, MILF, your top 2 right now. Yeah, so we got the scrim. We scrimmed Big Bad's team yesterday. And I think we split, I think total series was like 5-4 us or 4-3 us, however many games we played. Not sure if Prime was playing for them or not. I thought they were good, but then again, I thought we were good too. You know, I think We the People. You know, they had that first draft night scrims against Fender's team, and absolutely dominated them on stream. Judging from their EU results since, it doesn't seem like they're as dominating a team as that might have made things seem. Yeah, we can read your chat, Nanner. No worries. And we got the chance to scrim LBT later in the week, and I thought they gave us some pretty good games. So I'm inclined to think that that post-draft scrim was more of a fluke for We the People. I question. I don't know that they're a standout team like you're thinking, Russ. I think Cynical is your best player in the league. I think probably by a mile, and that's why I rate TSM so highly. Honestly, him and Messi, I think, are your strongest quote-unquote starting duo. Talk about Aaron and Karma. Those two are wild cards. I think Aaron's less of a wild card. I'll admit I wasn't terribly familiar with him. I know he's had plenty of majors experience in the past. Some of it, I believe, quite good. I'm gonna search that integrally before I talk any further, because I think there are like 2 or 3 Aarons, so I don't want to make sure I'm speaking in error here. Yeah, so a bunch of major seasons going all the way back to season 22. What's statistically has always been middle of the pack. Looks to be a two-way type of guy, just judging by the niches here. And that's certainly something I think we've seen in scrims with him. Really, everyone on our roster. I think Inspired did a nice job with it, actually. Obviously I captained the Rotatos last season. That was a big point of emphasis for me, was being able to play both sides of the map. Dad, I believe, has played both positions at a majors level previously. Aaron, I don't think he's ever been a starting offender. I might be wrong on that, but I think clearly has shown he can play offense just fine when he has to. And then Karma was interesting. So I didn't know this during pre-draft scrims, that Saturday night tryout that Inspire held. Didn't know it until after the draft, but so Karma played under the name Risk, who, for all of you older balls, knows that was a name around in like season 8, season 7 kind of range. Was a majors player back in that time frame. So he's back, and I've been super impressed. Anytime an older player comes back to play, you question whether they're going to be able to play at the level that they had been. I think Karma's keeping up just fine. I think we're gelling pretty well in offense for having 2-3 scrim nights together, and kind of like the rest of the roster, he can play both ways if he has to. So yeah, I really like our roster construction from that point of view. I think we got 4 pretty solid two-way players, which is always beneficial, I think. I'd be curious to get some of you guys' thoughts on No Kiss. Like I said, we've scrammed, 2-3 times the past week. I'll be honest with you, maybe it's just because I'm not thinking about it enough. It seems like we haven't utilized it a ton. Like, you see people hunting for contains a lot, but it really hasn't been more creative than that. I know OTI, okay, then has shared some really cool clips of how he's used no kiss, and I would like to get to that point myself, but right now it's a lot of just cornering people, trying to slow people down, for your defenders to get a return, which is fine, I guess. But right now I think less flashy and less skill based than I think it could be. And I'm hoping with a full season of this that people will get a little more creative with it. It'll become a little more second nature. Because I think you, like, again, this stuff you see in OTI, I think you can get really creative with it. I would say Robiny, that's hyperbole to me. I don't think right now I'd say it's not any better than kissing to me, but I think the potential for it is better. But right now I think it's a net neutral. I did hear rumors, so speaking of changes to power-ups, well, not changes to power-ups, but changes to game mechanics. So they did add those 2 altered Juju's and Tag Pro changes in the latest TPFG update. I heard a rumor, well, not even a rumor, Inspire asked us if we would support the Juju's alteration being used in majors this season. So for those unfamiliar, that is, you press spacebar to diffuse your juice. It gives you a short boost in the direction of your momentum. I think that would be interesting to incorporate too. It's a little short notice, but I talked about it in MLTP General some. I think you could pull off some really cool plays with it. And if we're already, being a little experimental this season with no kiss, I don't think there's much harm in throwing in Juju's changes or even Tag Pro changes if we want. So that could be interesting. I don't know if the captains, I would like a captain to tell me whether there's enough support to make that happen this season. I haven't heard either way. Let's see, who do I think was the biggest major snub? That's an interesting one. Let me get the draft packet up. I think most people were expecting We the People to pick Omnivore. Yeah, see, Flaccid said that in chat. I would agree, that's probably your biggest one. I'm a little surprised that Vic didn't get a chance. And then I wonder if someone might have given Irony a chance too. I think Irony's pretty good actually. So I think those 3 are probably the ones that are most surprising to me. Button, of course, I think you can make an argument for too, although de-restricted, maybe not. But as an offender, certainly, I think he could have hung at the majors level. Why not just do Gravity at this point, Mickey Mouse decisions? I really could not disagree more that these are Mickey Mouse decisions. They're different, yeah. But I think if you're even a minors level player, you should be able to adapt to the change. And I know people will say, why are we making changes when people haven't mastered base Tag Pro yet? And I guess I get that to some extent, but this player base isn't at a point where everyone's going to master the game, so I don't mind making changes to introduce some new mechanics, new new decision-making skills. Yeah, minors is no kiss. We held a veto on that a couple of days ago, and that passed. So minors will also be no kiss this season. I think Kazui can hang, AJ. Played against him some in OTI, week 1. Thought he was pretty good. Don't know if he was playing that major scrim against us last night. If he was, thought he was holding up fine. His growth has been really something to watch. I think only 3 seasons ago he was a novice ball, maybe even 2 seasons ago. Got some, pardon me, my team had called him up for some minors minutes maybe 2 seasons ago. I think he ends up getting a full minor season last season, and now he's in majors, if I've got that trajectory right. So he's certainly grown quickly. Looks like he was full-time minors in season 31 and season 32. And then first season was a novice in season 29, so. Yeah, Flaccid, that's what I was referring to, I think. Because we played you week 1. And I know he subbed for you, I think, against us and a couple weeks, or a couple game days beyond that, right? But yeah, was really impressed with him. Think he'll hold his own just fine in majors this season. Yeah. I guess we could do a little, I would normally do this in like a 10 thoughts, I guess, if I were doing this for majors. But a little preseason award prediction. I think it's Sin as your DBOS, right? I don't think that's controversial. And I hate to just glaze Sin a bunch, but scrimmed against him pre-draft, have played against him a couple times, I think, between OTI and major scrims. I'm not sure why Dodds Fall was banned, so thank you, Yelpa, for doing that. Sorry, Dodds. But Sin, I think, is clearly the best player in the league. So he takes home DBOS, and honestly, I would probably give him MVP too. Offensive ball of the season is interesting. I hate to give it to Messi because it's the same team as Sin, but strong defense kind of controls, your offensive stats are kind of controlled by your defense to some extent. So I think, and I do think TSM is probably the best team this season, so I'll probably give Messi OBOS. If I were to get a little more creative, you could throw Anti-Re in there, I think. I think BBB is an outside shot, which would be kind of crazy. And if it's not Sin for DBOS, which I think would be crazy. I don't even know, man. Nameless, I guess you can throw up there. I don't think anyone on my team's gonna get the stats. Yeah, I guess Nameless would be my other shot. And if Kelvin, I think he's playing defense, I could see Kelvin doing that too. Freak, ASAP, sure. Could buy that as well. ASAP's actually a good shout. He was really sticky yesterday, going up against him. I thought he was difficult to get out against. So no, that's a good shout. Minors captains for the Mara, we do know. I'm not going to pull it up right now because that would take a couple seconds. Minors captains are me, and my prelim pick is PK. Pardon me as I stole for time. I'm a GOAT. Ed. Titan Blue, Flaccid, Big Bad, whose prelim is someone. Don't tell me. His prelim is... Don't tell me. Is Freak. You got Beast Mode, Water Wheel, Prelim, Russ, Logi, and Hugh. I think that wraps it up. And Flaccid is Prelim Juror. So I think a good crop of Miners, Captains, and Prelims too. Before we go further on Miners, I guess any other takes on Majors that anyone has? It's hard, you know, I understand the way the holiday calendar worked out. I don't like how the schedule has played out right now. You know, we're ending up with a 2-week break in between draft and week 1. I think it's too much. And I understand the holiday and how they push the draft for signups and all that crap. I really don't like it. You like the break? I don't know, man. It's like we have 2 async weeks because we wanted, you know, we shortened the season because we had to push it back for signups, right? So we have 2 async weeks to shorten the season, and then we have a 2-week break anyway. You know, I just like we're back to a 7-week season without. Yeah, it doesn't help. It's like, why do we have a desync week or async, whatever you want to call it? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then another thing that was weird to me was that. So to your point, Flaccid, you have all the scrim time, 2 weeks of scrim time before your week 1 games, but Inspire was telling us our home map selections were due today, which makes no sense to me. Like, if we're going to be given all this time, let a team scrim, let them figure out their final lineup like we saw with the ad drops today, and then give us up until almost the last minute to get a home map picked. Give people a chance to experiment some. That was one thing that was tough about last season with home maps, was you had draft, you had 2 days to figure out your home map, and then that was your home map for the rest of the season. And it was difficult to find a home map that actually worked for you. You saw Meet the People in Miners playoffs last season. They just avoided picking their map at all. I think they banned their home map a couple of times. You know? Like, if we're going to have this big break, let's take advantage of it. Give people more opportunity to settle on a home map, to settle on their final roster for week 1, you know? And I don't know if ad drop deadline was today, and that's why the submissions were announced by PK today. Maybe, you know, I would imagine it's not locked, but home map for sure, I think, should have been given some more time. Alright, I think that's all I've got on Majors. Again, you can join the Discord. It's in MOTP content. Nightcap Waiting Room voice channel. And if you got a take, we'll drag you in. Only if you're non-combative in chat. But that's all I got in Majors, man. I think it's Team Solo Mid, a step above everyone else right now. Not huge, but a step. And then I think it's a big blob. I don't think there's any team that's atrocious. I think it's all relative skill level beneath them. And I think, to Nameless's point, whoever puts in the effort is going to be the ones that, you know, rise to the top of the standings. Should make for really, really awesome playoffs once we get there, I think. Should be a really competitive playoffs if what I'm saying is true. Is there a chance Cynical actually sucks? Depends. I think with the team he has, I don't think so. I think he likes Joy a lot. I don't know if he likes Messi, but I think he thinks he's a good enough player for him to try around him, and I think if he doesn't get along with Glegg, I think if he doesn't know Glegg, I don't know if they've interacted, but I think they will get along really well. So I don't really have a lot of fear that Sin's going to quit on that team. Although I will say, I was kind of walking by Joy in pre-draft scrims, so he hasn't played in a while, but he's going to have to get up to speed. Because if I'm walking by him, so is everyone else. You know? Alright, but that's majors. Not much more to add there. Let me get rid of this image here. Alright, so now moving on to minors. I guess first point of discussion here. So CRC makes this a 10-team league. I saw some people who were upset about that. I think I don't know if it's a sizable contingent, but certainly some people were expressing the hope that minors were 8 teams this season. You look at the bid board, I think you can understand why. That if it had been 8 teams, it would have been a really competitive minor season. There's no doubt about that. But I'll be honest with you, I don't hate 10 teams. Like, you go look, you take our 10 off the board, which is kind of hard to tell because the board's not colored for prelims. But you're looking at essentially like 1 through 40. I think everyone's prelim or captain lies within that. You look at 1 through 40, that's still pretty freaking good. Your 40th player on that list is Mueller, who is an excellent novice player. And there are probably some people below him on the board who would make their way into a minor spot. Marcus Yallo, if someone takes a chance on Sulf, I could certainly see them jumping up the big board into minors there. So I think the talent is pretty good, regardless of 10 versus 8. Now I can't speak to novice. Some teams in minors are gonna be real stinkers. See, I don't know if that's true. And I don't know what final numbers end up for novice at. Right now there's 76 signups. So you've got 36 players who won't get drafted and will drop the novice. And if they go, I guess Cheese said 8 teams, right? So yeah, that does seem slim to me. You're just over 4 a team. Unless they remove their signups as, teams number of teams to 6, I think that would make more sense for novice. Average, like, I guess it'd be right around that'd be right at 6 players per team. That seems reasonable. Now, if they're intent on doing 8, I question that. But again, I haven't been involved in novice in who knows how long, so it's hard for me to speak on it. So, Button, your comment. So, yeah, I think Yelpa, I think it's both fair and not fair. The reason why I think it's fair is this. So just look at the big board right now. And for me, it was really apparent on offense. You'd go through your top 3 or 4 offenders on the board, and then I think your quality really drops after that. I think it's going to make finding your second offender really hard. Because of the lack of them, number one, and then the ones that are available, I think, are a lower skill level. Whether they would be coming up from novice from last season or just a lower tier offender from last season in minors. I think defensively, I don't think it's really all that fair comment. You know, you look at the bottom of the defense board. If you're going strictly by big board, you're looking at Freak. He's at 39, a prelim for the draft. Certainly good, at least has the raw ability to hang in minors, right? We talked about Mueller at 40, probably same situation. Now I think to Flaccid's point, if it can be tough drafting those third and fourth balls, your second O and your second D. If you strike out on both of them, that's what leads you to being to like a really bad team, right? And since I think every team is going to have to draft some third and fourth balls who they're, I think, essentially taking a chance on because they only have novice experience, I think it probably does open up the opportunity for some worse teams, if that made sense. You thought there were no good... See, I don't agree with that. I think there are some good offense in this draft. Again, I think the quality drops off fairly quickly. And some of them are prelims, right? So or captains. So tight end, beef. Those would be two good options who aren't there anymore. Omnivore is on the board. I would say Vic is up there. Bud and you would certainly be up there if you're playing offense. Attitude-wise, people don't like him, but Acel is certainly in that conversation. I think Mike Dino is up there. You wonder if Rat Pack still has the ability that he had X amount of seasons ago. I think there's actually a decent amount of solid offense options. And with only 10 teams, I don't necessarily know how high people are going to go on them. There's a little less competition than you have seen in the past couple minor seasons when there's been 18, 16, 20 teams, right? So tag coin spending might get people may be a little more conservative with their tag coin spending, just because there's fewer people to compete against. And again, I think there's plenty of top talent to the point where people don't feel like they need to go all out to get one. Like you look at, 1 through 20 on the board, taking out the captains in the prelims, I think there's a lot of good options there. And certainly some that are lower on the board. Just joined. Did I give my thoughts on not letting the elites last minute? I hadn't yet, but we can segue back to it. The second no ball options are gonna get rolled. Hold on. All right, let's go there first. We'll get to the elites later. Second, again, I'm not so sure about the second no ball options. I would agree that the quality drops. I've said that. But this is the same thing people said when we had our first merge season, right? When essentially A-team and minors merged into that big middle tier. And you had former A-teamers, some B-teamers mingling with long-time minors balls who had flirted with majors in the past. And to some extent, you had some of that, right? You had some players, I think, who initially comes to mind, and I don't want to be toxic, but like Ducky, for example. She was not ready to compete at that level, against that higher level of competition. And you're certainly going to see some second O-ball options, like you're saying, where that's going to happen, right? They're not going to be ready. But there's going to be people like Vic in that merge season, like Jur in that merge season, who get the chance to compete against people at the higher level and succeed and get better, right? So I think the cost of, or the challenge, I guess, for those second O balls, yes, some of them are going to struggle. I think there's going to be enough that do not struggle, or even if they struggle, will continue to get better, that I don't think it's as big of an issue as you think it might be. And I agree with your comments about talent. Again, I think defensively, although I would say your top D talent's not as good as your top O talent, but certainly the depth on defense is better. I think your third and your fourth, your second defenders are certainly better than your second offenders. Alright, now going back to the elites and majors. I just can't stand... Why is this a thing every season where you have a certain group, and it's the same people every season. It's the same people. And they play this stupid game about, I'll sign up, and then if it's not exactly the way I like it, I'm going to leave. And then, oh, the CRC changed the rule. Well, gosh, if we'd known that, we would have kept our sign up. And it's the same people every season, and it's always a ruckus, and I just can't stand it, dude. Like, if you play an MLTP season, you know that it's a commissioner group of 3 to 5 people who make a decision about rules, who may get vetoed on a decision about rules, and things aren't always set exactly right when you want it set. And you know there's some uncertainty with how the league is run. This is not OTI where it's okay then making every decision. It's just not. It's never going to be that way. And you know that. So if you know that and you don't like it, just pull your sign up and keep it off. Like, why go through all this drama of begging to be let in when you didn't want to play in the first place? That's why you pulled your sign up. And probably after 2 weeks, you're going to be unhappy you signed up anyway. I just don't get why people try to cause all this drama. The sign-up deadlines are clear. You know things are subject to change. Make a decision about whether you're okay being okay with things possibly changing or not. And if you're not, fine. Just don't play. But if you want to play, recognize that things might change. And again, if you're okay with that, great. If you're not, great. But I hate the bashing the CRC. It frustrates the heck out of me, dude. It really does, man. And by the way, okay, then's running OTI at the same time this league is going on. Go play OTI, where everything's certain and happens right away, and changes happen instantly, and they cater to you. You know what I mean? There's an option available for you to play competitive Tag Pro the way you want to play it. I don't know. It really does frustrate me, man. I guess just last thought on that, kind of tangential related, because I am playing OTIA, and I don't want to denigrate OTI. Like, it probably sounds like I am. I think it's great that OK then runs this league. I think running it has pushed some favorable changes into MLTP, which I've appreciated. I think giving No Kiss an avenue, both in TPM, where he's active, and in his league. Changes to power-up settings, times, different maps. You know, OTI Jordan is now an MLTP staple map, right? Different OTI versions of maps have made it into rotation. I think that's all good, you know? And I kind of lost what my original point was going to be. Hold on. Right. So I'm playing OTIA right now. What I do think is, like, I compare it to MLTP, right? To me, and this is just a personal thing. I feel like MLTP is more of a legit league, just having now played both. And what that has to do with anything, I'm not quite sure. But I thought it was interesting. Like when I play OTI, it feels like more organized scrims than MOTP, which does feel like a league. So I don't know. Anyway, Yelpa is in voice chat here. Let's drag him in. Hey Yelpa.
Hey Anka, how are you doing this evening?
I'm well. How are you?
I am a glass case of emotion.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not anything to do with Tag Pro or really the Tag Pro community. So, you know what? It's all peachy. It's all peachy.
What do you want to talk about?
I had to have a thing to talk about, right?
Well, I guess you don't have to. But
see, this is why I'm not married right now. I get to that 20th date part and I'm good, but you know, it's somewhere there, either on the first or the 5th date that just thinks, you know what? Not important. That reminds me, I gotta ask something before I leave. But yeah, no, there's. You mentioned that there's a list of the usual suspects, the individuals who will show up and try and sign up last minute, and these usual suspects, like them or not, you could say a good number of them were maybe involved in that mild hullabaloo last season about adding expansion. Oh, not adding expansion teams last minute. That was a CRC response, but there was a bit of a hullabaloo the night before the draft where if a certain thing didn't happen, half of the captains were going to unsign up or ghost the draft. I don't know if that was public information or not.
No, I recall that. Yep.
Okay. And ultimately, things settled down. There was like 5 hours of discussions at 4 in the morning and all sorts of things. Things settled down. They had a draft. Nobody ghosted, and then the CRC retaliated with the expansion team threat. And we know how that went from there. Bold Roller is no longer a Tag Pro player. It's sad. I'm sad about it, but it's the usual. Disregarding the CRC's response to that, and that's not how you respond to a player mutiny. Because we have these usual suspects time and time again, at some point you think you make them more than the usual suspects and either say force them to be CRC, force them to be in charge, force them to see how the rules are done, which is kind of how it's done in handball. If you're a troublemaker, we tell you become a ref. We don't give you the option. You're going to ref training. I'm paying you $40 a game. You do your shit until you realize the error of your ways, or you just say goodbye to them for good. Yeah. Like we know that the signups are ultimately the low signups right now are ultimately a response to the low active player base, especially player base without a competitive history with a signed in logged in account. Mm-hmm. That subsection of the population is relatively low, and that leads to MLTP not having the replacement players in place. Like, the problem isn't at the top. People are supposed to move up before they retire. The problem is at the bottom. The very bottom, the Timmy Sunballs. Wait, that's a real person. The Jimmy Sunballs and the Tammy Flacids and the Steve Potatoes. Sorry, Steve. But yeah, that's where I think there should be focus, I guess. And all the usual suspects do, whether you like them or you don't like them. And this just not only goes for the usual suspects in regard to what Bolenka was talking about, but also the usual suspects that are out there in Discord making things relatively unpleasant for Jimmy Sunball and whatever names I just said to come in. It's not providing the sort of environment that we can build from, that we can say to those Sunballs, come in and play. Things will make sense, and if they don't make sense, you'll have a chance to embrace the bullshit in stride. And we don't have that environment. and it's very tiring to not have that sort of environment because we got some bullshit that you can have fun with. Oh my lord, we've got some bullshit we can have fun with. Have you heard of pregnant Pokemon pictures?
I think that's a really valid point. And it's not Tag Pro specific. It's just about any community or sport ever, right? It's all about, can you have more people coming in than you do coming out, and can you grow? And that growth starts with people coming in, right? Retention is awesome, but eventually someone who's played the game for 5 to 10 years is gonna stop playing, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Leave them with fond memories of their time spent, and every once in a while they'll come back to play a hockey or a racing or a Steve Potato.
Yeah, but to your point, it's all about, you're right in that the focus should be on how do we. It's getting new people, number one, to the game in general, to Tag Pro in general, and then facilitating that line from pubs to competitive. And to your point about an environment, and you're well aware of this, when I first started playing, the Pi server was as welcoming an environment as you could hope to ask for. And the connections I made on that server is what led me to dabble in the US contenders, which led me to participate in the competitive season. So I think environment's super important, to your point. And I would agree, certainly some of the stuff we see on our Discord nowadays, it doesn't really foster that. So that's a valid point.
I have GeoGuessr streamers that want to try the game out, but I can't bring them in because they see some of the stuff. Well, they've seen some of the stuff that just pops in on the Discord, and they say, "Nope, this is not for me. I'm out." Yeah. And that's just in and out. That's not even playing the game, just trying to get a look at whether this is worth streaming. And I'm working. I think I've told you this. I think people know this. I'm not on the future group. I am assistant to the future group. I guess that's my title. And like the one thing that I'm there to work on when the time comes is the marketing. And I've got a plan. People seem to like the plan. But there's certain technical things that need to occur before the plan is in place. And right now I'm just biding my time, waiting for Cheese Doodle to say, okay, Yalpa, I'm gonna let you go nuts. Go ham. Get out there, get the people in. I want that to happen. I need that to happen. But in the meantime, we've got all these other things to fix. They've got all these other things to fix. I'm not really doing any of the fixing. And, well, you've seen the updates recently for the last 4 months. You've seen how many changes have occurred in the last 4 months, even if it's something experimental in groups or if it's something that's completely back-end, mods only sort of thing. So they're working on it. Yep. They're working. I just want to keep things going to the point where I can get there and make sure that when we get there, because I have full confidence that what I have in mind will work, that the place that we send them to, whether it's in game, in server, or elsewhere in the community, is a good place to send people to.
Absolutely.
Maybe 1 or 2 pregnant Pikachus. That's
but no more.
Maybe a Raichu,
Yeah.
Get the grown-up versions of Pokemon so we can just avoid the negative connotations of things like MILF Minor. BBB, please change your team's name. Please. There's still time. Just do that.
Well, Yelp, I'm sorry to boot you, but Jarvis has been waiting for some time.
Oh my gosh, we need an update on Jarvis.
So I will drag him in here.
Before I go,
yes.
we need a second date update as well.
I saw that. I don't know what that is. So
just try to get it. I believe in you. I'm gone. I'm out, people.
All right.
Get Jarvis in here.
Thanks. All right, Jarvis, what's going on, man?
Well, did you watch that basketball game that just ended?
No, I've been busy doing this. Who won number one?
Dallas.
Oh, ouch. So they're 3-0?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's over. It hasn't been pretty. Karl Anthony Towns is playing horribly, and Luka and Kyrie are just too good. And Rudy Gobert is a fraudulent defensive player of the year, getting destroyed by average centers for Dallas.
I've always hated the French.
Wemby should have won DPO, or Wemby or Bam should have won Defensive Player of the Year. Not this guy, but sure enough. Anyways, Tag Pro. Honestly, I thought the minors draft was tonight for the longest time. A little weird that they're doing it on Memorial Day. You know.
Well, people work Tuesday. You gotta think they'll be home, right? Monday night. That made sense to me.
I mean, a day where we're supposed to honor the fallen soldiers of our country who gave their lives, paid the ultimate price, and we're out here drafting players for coins. And
can I ask you a question?
After the flag game.
And 9 p.m. tomorrow evening, are you gonna be memorializing our fallen heroes?
Well, that's
and don't lie to me.
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Listen, I'm all for the holiday, and I understand the purpose, but at 9 p.m., dude, we've celebrated them.
Yeah, fair. Okay. Anyways, well, it's stupid that they're doing 10 teams. Like, 8 teams would have actually made sense. And, like, if you look at the personnel, I know there was a couple drops from majors that added a couple people into the pool. But just looking at, like, okay, if there was 32 teams, the worst players in minors are going to be, like, Admania, Tinder, EK, Ed, you know, minors caliber players. But when you switch it to 10 teams and you make the player pool 40, you're going to have people like, I don't know, Agnes Fortis, Rapson, maybe even JKXX if somebody take the shot, Glizzy, who are like, okay, they're fine, but they're not minors caliber.
My take is it any worse than the merge season? I don't think so.
I
mean, you had
was too long ago. I honestly don't.
It was like 3 seasons ago, dude. It was like season 29.
Merge?
Yeah, it was like 3-4 seasons ago.
That was years ago.
No, bro. Alright, and HG wants to know how many drinks you've had, by the way.
I haven't had any drinks tonight. I'm home. You know, if you're home and it is boring, the key is to drink little alcohol so your tolerance goes down. So that's my plan.
Speaking of home, I'm in Connecticut on Tuesday, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, just
again?
FYI. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. But no, I don't think this season, I honestly think it's better than the merge season in terms of talent disparity. I think that merge season, that was either the 18 or the 20 team season, and you had some, I mean, again, I don't want to pick on Ducky, but you had Ducky playing against Titan. I don't think there's that this season. I understand Titan is a minors captain, but I don't think this disparity's there as bad.
Well, it almost is, because like I said, just look at how it actually plays out. 32 teams, your worst players, Admania, Cinderfella. 40 teams, your worst players, Rapson, Agnes, Lizzie. People who've been playing novice for a very long time and are clearly struck at that level. It's just like they could have done 8 teams, the player pool would have been fine, and every team would have been more balanced. And now they kind of fuck over novice with only 36 players as it stands. It'll probably get up to like 42, which means they're probably going to have to do 6 teams, which is, I don't think has ever happened before in this kind of kind of not good. So I don't know why that change was made.
I think
It
matters more for novice, I think, than it does for minors. To your point about roster sizes for novice.
I think it will make the higher bid players and minors less expensive, because if the worst player is Admania or Tinder, you can afford to have them as a force ball, and you can go and, you know, spend all your coins on one player or two players. But if you have the risk of, hey, if I spend all my coins on the top two, my worst player is Rapson, versus if I leave myself with like 10 coins, you know, I can end up with Tinder as my fourth instead, and it's a significantly better team. So that means that when it's all said and done, the people who are going to have the highest bids will probably be bid for lower because of that. Teams not wanting to be stuck with one of these lower end players as their fourth ball.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Beast Mode S, rank the teams on how much you want to be drafted by them.
Oh, that's a good one. Let me pull up the
and I'll read it again while you're pulling it up, just for everyone in chat. So your 10 minors teams, you have Hugh, who's captaining the Juplots Heroes. I'm a goat with the Beef Sloppios. Flaccid Drip prelimming Jur 32, holding I-007. Ed is captaining the Tag City Monsters. Logi, the Mercury Revs. Waterwheel prelimming Russ, the Portland Tile Blazers. Myself prelimming PK, Holman Sets. Tied in with the Bottle Otters, Beast Mode, Butter Spirit. And Big Bad Ball prelimming Freak, MILF Minor. Those are your 10.
So, okay, in order, starting with who I would most want to be drafted by, it's obviously Titan at number 1. Okay. Head and shoulders above everybody else. We won a Mooper together already. I think me and him and a good third ball and anyone would win. Significant drop off. Next is probably actually BBB, just because I've never played with Freak, and I think I hear good things, and with 100 coins we could get a good offense. After that, probably Logi, 80 coins. You know, his team, everyone thought they would be bad last year, but they overperformed, and he wanted to draft me last year, so see how that works out. Then it's probably your 32, you know, good established player, a little light on coins, but we could still get a good third ball and have a good core 3 with that. Next is probably Beast Mode, good amount of coins, you know, he's a troll and all that, but we would have some fun together. Then Hugh, you know, I've said bad things about him before, but 85 coins is a lot, and I assume ASAP is, or whatever. Next is probably your team. You know, I've never thought highly of PK, but 80 coins is a lot. You could build a good supporting cast.
People say actually there's a lot of similarities between myself and PK. Believe it or not.
That is a disservice to you. You are not.
We're very similar players. PK's very skilled. Big power up getter. Disciplined on OD. You know, I think he gets a bad rap.
Yeah, but he can't play defense, and he's a weak ball.
You know, he's won his only championship on defense.
Is that actually true?
That is accurate.
When was that?
I believe that was Block the Cap Spa, maybe in like season 7.
Oh, well, that's okay. That doesn't count.
Yeah, anyways, that counts. That absolutely counts.
That was years ago. That doesn't count. Next on my list, I'm gonna go
No, he won with Weed the People.
on offense.
Well, he told me he won a championship on defense, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask him.
So we're getting to the end of the list here. I'm gonna go, slightly two coins. I don't really see him as a first ball. Then Ed, because he's cool, but he's haven't played this game in years. 80 coins is bad enough, and I don't think that me and him would be a good core. And then last is Russ, because we don't play defense well together, and 75 coins isn't enough. So there's your list.
I like it. It's a good list. I think I'm too low, but
Well, if it was you playing, you would be second. But PK is just not. No.
I'm a little
Are you
disappointed
planning
I
a-
wouldn't be first in your hypothetical, but
Well, I'm trying to win the championship this season and not lose in the.
we had a good team last season, dude.
We did have a good team last season.
We were a championship caliber team. We had a chance.
I-
That's all you can ask.
Well, I won with Titan already, and he's clearly the best player in the league. So.
I've been told he can't ping abuse anymore.
That doesn't really matter. He's still better than everybody.
See, I knew that would be your take. As soon as
Because like, if you go from 5 ping to 30 ping, it doesn't really matter. I famously said that all ping under 80 is the same, and I still stand by that.
Yeah. Someone clip it, please.
Unless you're like a superhuman and can, calculate reaction times to that level of difference, but I don't think many people are like that, and I feel like people, it's more psychological. If you look in the top left and you see the ping is 80, you're, whoa, I'm all shaky. But realistically, you press the key, the ball moves, and that's the end of the story.
So true.
But looking at the draft board, I'm interested to see what happens with Easy, because he hasn't been around for a while, and he's not like a super fun player, like offensive player that he's going to be flashy, but he's played majors for the past however many seasons, but he doesn't really strike me as a carry ball. He'll still probably get underbid though.
I think his stock is kind of low. I don't know why I feel that way, but I saw him in, I guess it must have been TPM. I know he's a major player previously. I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's gonna dominate minors, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low energy. Moving to Chicago is worth for him. Signing up as the no mic.
True.
Yeah. The most expensive player is going to be Omnivore, almost certainly. Especially with no positional restriction. I mean, we saw how he dominated last season, and yeah, he'll go for at least 50, maybe even more, I would think.
Button wants to know, which ball is above you on the board do you think you are better than?
Okay. Ruff, Ducky, Vic, Button, Excel, Oink, Ghost, Q, Rat Pack, I don't know. Luke Moo, Spearoid.
Are you surprised to see Oink rated so highly?
A little. I mean, this last season was amazing, but that was also the best team in that league that's probably ever existed. He's been impressive. A major step up from how he was years ago. But yeah, I am slightly surprised to see him that high, but I wouldn't put him too much lower. Me and him are kind of at the same level, honestly. I understand.
Any sleepers on the board, do you think?
Some balls will be the steal of the draft. I know he hasn't played competitively in quite a bit, but I remember this guy being very, very locked down. And in the draft, the draft board is kind of evenly split between O and D, which is I feel like is rare. I feel like Miners is always O heavy, but it slightly favors offense. But he's going to be somebody's second defender, and that's going to be really strong.
Yeah, well, looks like his last season was season 15 B team.
Which was my first season ever.
Yeah, pulled up a 916.
I just remember him being quite good, and I feel like, I mean to be fair, the captains are kind of split between, you know, new school guys and old school guys. Well, I feel like most people will know about him, so maybe he won't be a steal, but I feel like the community as a whole doesn't value him as high as they should.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I know him when I first came into competitive. He was usually on an OPH team, season 9, season 10. So that's where I remember him, and he was always pretty good on those OPH teams. So yeah, we'll see how he looks after taking an extended break. But I'll be curious.
But he's still rocking a 65% pub win rate. So yeah, I would. He doesn't strike me as someone that would slow down. I mean, I barely played with him, but I don't know. He just feels like one of those guys that's going to be an absolute force. I would love to play defense with him on any team, really. You know, if you draft me and him as a defense, actually, the only problem is that he's very one way, and PK is also very one way. So I don't know if that would work completely, but yeah, he'd be a good partner of mine.
Noted.
Further down the board, AJ removed his side up. That's a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
I would be an advocate for him to be drafted if he was.
I would agree. He would have been on my draft board. I don't have a problem saying that.
Alas. Other sleepers, really see anyone. I mean, most of these people are pretty known. There's a fair share of rookies that are on the board. Like, we got like just random names: Alyssa, Bazooted, BJW. I don't know if anyone is any like axe people or anything, or hammer people. You know, there's this guy Alex Jones that signed up, and he's been in the competitive server for a while. He sometimes fills in for random scrims. I think he did for our team a couple times last season. He has a good pub win rate, and I feel like someone is going to take him.
Could happen.
And I can't say I hit him. You know, he's 250 ping sign up is obviously troll, and yeah.
Yeah, I think to the point about 10 teams, you're going to be fishing for a fourth ball. Certainly some of these teams. So I could see someone taking a flyer on them, or another rookie or relatively new novice player. I could see a flyer there. So that's
is Moosin good at Tag Pro? I know he does the map stuff. But
I don't think so.
He does have a 58% win rate, which is pretty solid.
I used to play him all the time. He used to be a lot more active, like when I first started playing. I don't remember him being particularly good, but I guess we'll find out.
I could see Marcus Yallo being taken.
Agreed.
Considering his novice.
And he's gotten minors minutes previous seasons as well. So I mean.
Yeah. Redcoat, maybe. I think availability might knock off some people. Though I know when I had him on my team, he was great, but the availability was just a nightmare. He would just not show up at random time. So yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I think JK's been playing minors level Tag Pro recently. I would think. I don't know if the personality or anything would steer people away from him, but I would say that he probably deserves to be drafted.
Interesting. I think you're probably right about personality, though.
Yeah, but I think he's been playing. I think his actual gameplay doesn't get the love that it should. Surprised that Mr. Peanut's back.
Me too. That really surprised me.
Like that man, after I broke his heart or whatever, said he was gone. Said he was just gonna go forever. But we're glad to see this guy back. It'd be really funny if somebody dropped us together. I don't know what he would do. I mean,
I think he's over, dude.
I don't know. He's something.
Alright, hey, listen, I think Admania wants to say something, so I'm gonna let you go. Anything to close it out?
Alright. I don't think so. Besides, good luck with the draft. Are you planning on drafting me?
You're in consideration.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll take that. If you're drafting me, message me. Then that goes to everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So you're off the draft board.
Okay.
I've never messaged someone to draft them in my life, dude. I just draft. All right.
Okay. Well, balls to you. Hey, you see if balls to you got dropped, so he's back on. He's gonna be
I know.
back
You want to
on
put the squad back together, brother? Let's go.
If you draft me and him, I would be very, very happy with that.
All right.
Oh, you probably don't have the coins to do that. Well, maybe you do. I don't know how much, but I expect to go for about the same price.
All right. See you, man.
All right. Good night.
What's up, Edmania? You got something?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Been on my content grind and speedrun grind, so
There you go. Nice.
haven't been up to too much, but I am a big fan of more teams and minors. I wanted to talk about that because that was, I think, a major thing that as I do agree with Jarvis's points, I do like the chance that more people are having chances to play minors minutes, and I think giving the people the opportunity to play is very important as a growth as a player.
And I don't mean I don't intend for this to sound mean, but I know your experience has been largely novice minutes, right? You get some occasional minors call-ups. Do I have that about right?
I played one season minors, but yeah.
Okay. So I guess does that kind of inform your take here? I guess your difficulty kind of getting up the tier.
You could say, yeah. I would argue that it would make novice a lot less interesting to watch, which the league definitely needs more people. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm a bit biased, but it does hurt novice, which is kind of unfortunate because I think novice needs all the help that it should get, especially with the state of it as of recently. But
well, so let me ask you this: so since you like the 10 teams here from minors, and I asked Jarvis the same question, I guess who do you see that has been kind of a novice mainstay or even a rookie, you know, who do you see coming up to minors and playing well who normally wouldn't have been given a chance?
I think Jarvis mentioned Marcus Yallow. I think because I know he did play minors minutes, but it wasn't the greatest situation for him. So I'm kind of curious to see how he'll do. But let me look at the draft board.
Sure. And while you're looking, Waterwheel had a chat here. I guess he's saying, so there's that Twitch account, Draxono. Is that you?
No, that is not me.
He says if you admit it's you, he will draft you.
No, that is not me.
Are you sure? This is your chance.
Yeah. I'll clear the air and tell you that it is 100% not me, because when I was inactive in the community, I saw that account was very active, but I don't know how that ever got spread, but
Who do you think it is?
I have no clue, to be honest.
Okay. Alright, Waterwheel. A verbal denial on stream.
But trying to think who. I'm interested to see how let me see.
Sure.
RC is also very good, but Jarvis mentioned availability issues. I do like the way RC plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think drafting Robin would be interesting. I definitely think his mentality is a little bit better when it comes to competitive. So,
well, and I think he got, you know, and I'm not a huge, like, I've had opportunities to draft him in the past, I haven't, but I will say I do think he got a bit of a raw deal last season. You know, he gets drafted to Taylor's team. Taylor's a no mic. I think they had Eldon to start, who also, I mean, she has a mic, but like doesn't really use it. It's a hard spot, and this is Robin's first starting minors role. That's a hard team to jump into, for sure.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see someone giving him another chance, and I think he could make the most of it.
Especially because there's a lot more of a burden carrying the comms, especially with 2 no mics. So
Absolutely, yeah.
It definitely puts a lot more pressure on you as like a fourth ball that won't normally isn't normal.
Agreed.
But I think those are the main ones that I like. There is a lot of defense in the draft, so I think more offenders will probably get more of a shot, but drafting Face for 0 TC, I think he's very good and very underrated, but his availability issues and questionable mic availability just shoots his stock like down.
Yeah.
But he's pretty solid. I've played with him, and as long as he's not playing Clash Royale, he's pretty good.
Well, to that point, I think that's definitely one thing, and for any novice player that's watching this or watches this back, if you want to jump up tiers, the easy stuff to solve is you have to be available, and you really should be able to come, you know. And I'm not saying that's the 2 things that are gatekeeping you from minors, but you know, I can think there's plenty of people who are on the fringe who, if they just showed up a bunch and talked, they're getting drafted over the guy who doesn't do that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good thought.
I mean, I'd also say decision making too, but I feel like the decision making just gets better with experience. So
Agreed. You know, that's something I learned my first major season. You know, so, as you make that jump up in a tier, some of the things you found that you could do, say in novice, doesn't work anymore in minors. Or even the things that you thought were the right way to play in novice aren't the right way to play in minors, and same for minors and majors. And being able to adjust to that just takes time, and takes time playing against a higher skill level of competition. So experience definitely helps.
yes, I agree. I realized, I think the first season I played minors, I completely shifted my game style because, as you said, a lot of this stuff just doesn't work, and now I'm like more okay playing support or like doing other things or blocking, and it helps improve other facets of the game. So once you like realize what you need to work on and improve on, so I'm curious to see how the like lower end of the draft will improve, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. Anything else? I was gonna start wrapping it up here in a second.
I think I talked about the teams.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about sleeper picks. I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm kind of curious to see who will draft me. I'm open to, I think, any captain drafting me, to be honest.
Okay, I was gonna say this was your one free manip chance. You get one chance to say which captain you don't want to draft you right now. So I mean, if you don't want to say, that's fine. But this is I guarantee it. Well, you may get banned, but I'll fight for you. If you don't want someone to draft you, say it now.
No, but I am interested in all of the captains. I don't really think there's a team that I don't want to play, but some teams did get scammed out of TCs, but I'm not going to say which teams those are.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by, and I wish you luck in the draft tomorrow.
Alright, no problem. Thank you.
Yep, see you, man.
Have a good night.
You too. Alright, homie. I saw your comment. I did not say you were the best majors team, unfortunately. So gonna disregard that. TC scam. You know, Peek and I were talking about this in DMs when TC came out. I don't think it's that bad. I'm mostly concerned that if Titan's ping difference doesn't, like, you know, he says he can't ping abuse anymore. If he's still anywhere close to the level he was winning Moobers, I don't think that TC is fair. So that frustrated me a little bit. I think everyone else was roughly okay. I don't think it's enough that's going to ruin the league. But that is my concern. I really think it should have been to the point where teams drafted, or the majority of the teams drafted 2 players before Titan could get someone. Maybe that's a little harsh, but like somewhere in that range. I just, you know, I personally doubt that the pain difference is going to make much of an impact. So that concerns me from a parity standpoint. But other than that, I don't think there's anything egregious, and I think mostly because really the talent disparity of the captains wasn't super egregious, you know? You know, I did see Goat complain about his. I think he's underselling himself a little bit. He's a really good player. And then Juror, I think, was a little bit behind him. That all seemed relatively fair. Yep, so that's where I'm at with TCAC. Anything else? Anything else before we wrap things up for the evening? You can hop in the Nightcap waiting room channel in the Discord if you would like. The link to that Discord is in MLTP content. Majors, minors, any take. We'll take them. We'll give it another minute or two. But yeah, really excited for the minors draft tomorrow. Really excited for the majors game this season. Predict second balls for each captain. I could try that. Well, maybe I don't want to try that. That I'm worried that may give some indication as to how I want the draft to go. so maybe I don't do that. I've already maybe discussed how I feel about it a little too much. Not that anyone's scouting the draft. Maybe they are. Russ and Flaccid are in chat, but yeah, maybe keep that to myself for now. Alright, looks like no one else wants to hop in voice channel here, so we're gonna wrap it up. I see you, Russ and Flaccid. Don't think I don't. I appreciate all of you that tuned in. Again, Yelpa, he'll be streaming the minors draft tomorrow. That I might do, but we will think about it. Yeah, Yelpa, minors draft tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Tune in for that. Majors games could start anytime because of async weeks, but officially starts week 1 next Sunday. So tune in for those games. OTI starts their playoffs this upcoming week. Tune in for those games. A lot of Tag Pro going on the next week or two. So get your fill. And good luck this season wherever you guys end up. We'll talk to you next time. GG's.